sit with it.
Okay.
Because and the core of who you are those things.
So that everyone knows that you are that ish. Okay? You might end up using that, even though I didn't even. That's what I said. So you may want to throw that in there. Hi. Thank you for joining yet another episode of Get Set with Lissette. This is where we have inspiring conversations that empower you to get set. And this conversation, this is going to be a good one. I have with me a woman who started her own fashion selling and everything else and all the things since 2001. And she is still in business, okay? She has styling contracts and people that she's working with. And not only is she doing all the things when it comes to fashion, she's a woman who has a heart of giving, and she is also a teacher for our local community. And she's been doing that for the last 10 years. I have with me none other than Toya. How are you, my love?
I'm so good.
You're so good?
I'm good being here with you.
Yes?
Yes.
I love this. I'm so excited for this conversation, not only because of the fact that, and I've shared this with you, anytime you and I have a conversation, it just flows organically. We go deep, we go raw, nothing but beauty comes out of those conversations. And I do believe that when like-minded individuals are in a room with each other, nothing but beauty can come out of it.
Great.
But not only that, your heart and the way that you are just exudes from you. And so I need you to just have all your flowers right here and right now. Honestly, you are a phenomenal person and human being. Just forget all the other things, which let's not act like she's not dope, but you're just a dope human being, legitimately.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that, being seen.
Of course.
You just have to know that all flattery aside,
Yeah.
I think the same of you. From day one,
Yeah,
our conversations, the vibe, the energy was there. And so I'm happy to see all the things that you're doing and just the human being that you are every single day.
Well, don't make me cry.
I won't, so I don't know. I can't make no promises.
You ain't gonna make, okay, well, same. We gonna see where this conversation goes. Now, I do like to start just to get your nerves out so you feel good, all right? It's gonna be quick, rapid fire. Don't overthink it. Do it quick little this or that. It gives an idea of also who you are as a person, because some of these questions we need to know, all right?
Okay.
Are you more of a sweet or salty kind of person?
I'm mostly sweet.
Okay.
But, when that chocolate starts to melt,
Yeah.
you appreciate the saltiness in between.
Okay. Morning person or night owl?
Night owl.
Okay. Night. So you stay up.
Yep. I can't even help myself.
Oh.
I dream of being a morning person, up at 4:30, getting everything done. It's just never been my life. Tried it.
It's not your thing.
It's just not
Introvert or extrovert?
Introvert.
Okay. I see that.
Yeah, I like to, socialize and be outward going when necessary.
But for the most part,
most part,
you're in.
introvert.
And now this next one, there is no wrong answer. Are you going to be watching the YouTube or listening to the podcast?
I'm going to watch the YouTube.
Okay.
I like the visuals.
You need the
I just like
visuals
the audio as well because I'm a big music fan, but it's something about the visuals too, being able to double tap and see the facial expressions.
Don't talk on that. Let me tell you, I know for a fact I have so many and I try my best to keep it together. However, if I ever give any cues, this is how you know you got a good engineer. We're taking a quick moment. You know you got a good engineer because when you say something like, stop, I'm one of those people in the midst of talking, I have honest responses. You'll see the camera kind of to me real quick. It happens all the time.
That's funny.
I can't help it. I speak with my hands. I'm just an expressive person. So for that, I can understand. So if you're just listening, you're not seeing the fact that I'm doing it again. But it's all good.
Yeah, I need all.
It's all good. We need it all. All right. So before we get into all the things, Toya, and the amazingness that you are when it comes to Cocoa Tulip, when it comes to the things that you're going to be bringing into our community, which I'm even more excited, and the fact that you're just an amazing human being and teacher, let's go back. So let's talk about
the good old days.
The good old days. Yeah, share with us who you are, how you grew up, just
So I'm just a little dark-skinned girl who grew up in a really big family.
Okay.
I have one of the biggest families in the city where I'm from. Most of my family comes from the South on both sides.
Okay.
So I have a little of that Louisiana Creole, throw a sprinkle of Irish blood in there. But yeah, really, really big family. My grandma had 12 children.
Oof.
And each of them, I think except one, had multiples. So was a cousin who grew up with a ton of cousins, all sleeping on pallets at grandma's house over the weekend.
Absolutely.
Waking up in the morning, Saturday morning cartoon.
Absolutely.
Big pot of oatmeal.
Yeah.
Made with love.
That
was, my childhood. My mom growing up had the house that everybody gravitated to.
Okay, so y'all were the house.
We were the house.
Okay.
I mean, cousins, friends would have birthday parties at our houses just because everybody was there.
Okay.
We grew up on the hilltop. For those who are from Harrisburg, you know what that spot is. And like I said, I have 2 siblings. I have a brother and a sister.
Okay.
So we were the house that everybody gravitated to. Have friends, were involved in sports and within the community.
So it's a close-knit community.
Very close-knit community. Very, very close-knit family. Mostly women. And I've grown to appreciate that a lot because I grew up seeing women who loved each other, paid attention to one another,
right?
Supported each other through any and everything. Each of them beautiful in their own way. I was in awe of my aunties growing up. Yeah, and they're all just superstars to me.
Oh, I love this.
I mean, absolutely.
Okay.
And so to see them just interact and it always be a togetherness,
right?
A sisterhood.
I get that.
It made me appreciate and to be able to just be the woman that I am and respecting, other girls and women and appreciating them for who they are with
100%
contentions or anything else.
Right. Similarly, so it's funny. I don't even think I come from a huge family as well. So it's the same concept, the same dynamic. However, I always find it interesting because like my mom's one of 9 and my dad's one of 10. So like on both sides, it's crazy. But there's something about that mom side of the family and it's the same. You're speaking right too. It's the same concept. It's mostly women. It's highly women dominated. It literally of the 9, 3 are boys and the other 6 were all female. And you're right. I grew up growing up with women all around me, strong women, all in their own right, all in their own capacity. So how does that like formulate or like shape your worldview, your way of looking at things? Like you see these strong women in their own rights, like growing up. Like how did that impact you?
It was everything.
Okay.
And I didn't know it until, I gotten older and just moving about through life.
Right.
I would see them, one or another of them, saying something or doing something that I would recall from the past.
Right.
And it would help me through. The abundance of just carefree love really just helped me move about life through that. I wasn't second guessing, myself or my genuineness or anybody else's for that matter, which later in life
changes. I
definitely. But it's made me the mom that I am.
Right.
Just accepting my daughters for who they are and allowing them be who they are.
And giving them space and the ability to just grow and whatever that is. Yes.
Even in teaching.
It's that was coming. Yeah. Let's just go right in it. So how has that impacted like the way you teach?
The same things.
Right.
Understanding that each of the students are different.
Right.
We want to have so much possession over our children, our own and within the community, but that's not really what raising them is. You allow them to be who they are and you guide them. A lot of growing up felt like not alone so much, but that we were free.
Okay.
To just kind of go. But Of course that there were boundaries set in place.
Right.
But I remember just a sense of freedom of being who I was.
And the ability to do so.
Yes. And that's always been at the core of everything I do. Whether I do it intentionally or not, it always comes back to just that feeling of being free. And I'm grateful to them.
Absolutely.
To God at the end of the day.
I don't think I've taken inventory or realized how important that is, the way that you're describing it. Like, I actually had a very different type of childhood. Like, I was free to be me. Let me act like I wasn't. But I grew up in a very Christian. We went to church several days a week. We lived a certain way. We did a certain thing. Like, I was much more sheltered. And I think in my adulthood, I see a lot of that coming back. A lot of should I not, can I not, and not put on me when it comes to necessarily my family in particular, but the manner in which I grew up. And it sounds like what you're describing is so much more freeing and so much more like you were given the autonomy to just develop and learn and embrace exactly who you are.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. I literally just feel like I just had this like epiphany right now, like as you're talking about it and then seeing your adulthood, like you have the freedom and you can literally like go back to from the time you were younger. That was the environment that was created for you.
It was created for me. And for a while, getting older and just having life experiences, I questioned that.
Okay.
I thought for a while that I was left alone too much.
Okay. The other side of it. Okay.
That I was left alone too much.
Right.
And like that some lessons I learned a little later than life than maybe some of my friends or even other, family members.
Right.
And so I questioned like, I should have had that conversation, or maybe did anybody ever talk to me? Wow, I feel like I was never talked to about how to navigate this type of situation.
Right.
Yeah, like I was the first one in my family on my mom's side to graduate from college.
Wow.
So
how did that?
Oh, it was probably one of the best moments in my life.
I can imagine. You're breaking like just being literally a pioneer in your family.
Yeah, definitely. It was definitely a defining moment, but not in just, breaking, what hadn't happened before.
Right.
And propelling and being
the family.
Yeah.
Right.
So we
got
college going. It was me jumping in and figuring it out, right?
Absolutely.
Because no one's had that experience. Nobody can really hold my hand.
Fair.
And it was like, all right, well, I'm here. I'm going to make the best of it.
Yeah.
But then being able to pour into, some younger cousins of mine who ended up going bigger, better. And, I'm just super proud of today. But
because you're the pioneer. So in being that you don't have the person that can tell you this is what your freshman year is going to look like. Look out for this or that. Be careful, or even the culture shock that occurs. Because I know, I can't speak for you, but I know for me, like my freshman year of college was such a culture shock.
Yes.
And it was fish out of water for me. And similarly, I didn't have people that I could lean on or, get advice from. Like I was figuring it out in real time and doing the best that I could with whatever it was that I had and making it work kind of attitude. But I'm also one of the older cousins, so I do find pride in the ability to pour in, to have those conversations, be the one. But now looking back, I do sometimes wonder, so you're right, I wonder, would life have been different had I been able to have that direction? So how did that impact you, do you think? Now you said that you were like thinking back, so what do you think, like, what are moments where you feel like, if only I had this, or how do you feel like that being the pioneer impacted?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I think waiting and I feel like there were moments where I wanted to do things.
Okay.
And I'm a dreamer, so I had this big
I love it.
and colorful splash it all on the wall.
Right.
The writing in the details and notes, you know what I mean?
Right.
And everything just kind of laid out. And then what now?
Oh, okay.
What do I do with this?
Right.
And so not really having, the structure to be like, okay, well, you do this and then that, and then you do this and then that.
That's fair.
I feel like it took me to teach myself or to learn how to reach out and, grab hold of resources and people who knew.
Exactly.
Because that wasn't necessarily, like a custom thing.
Okay, that's fair.
Family, it was, us reaching out and helping one another.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, like we have success in our family. Like my mom was like, and we're still checking the archives, the first Black woman in the city to have a nail shop.
Oh, wow. Was she really?
Yeah. So,
I love that.
but different things in my family that they've started and, just kind of had the ambitions to do them. But for me, it was just the distance and the time between, that big, beautiful mural on the wall, all of my ideas.
Right.
And then bringing those things to fruition.
Okay. I do understand that. So you did make mention of like the way in which relationships have affected you, like when it comes to self-esteem and also your decisions, like it allowed you the ability to like dream big, allow yourself to go. There may have been a little bit from what I hear in like lack of like necessarily do this, then this, then this, but you were in an environment that allowed you to just create and think big. How did it change did it, not even how, like, did anything have, or what was the moment that had an effect on like your worldview when it comes to what your thoughts, your values, your like, what do you stand on and how were you able to develop those kinds of like ideas?
Radical self-acceptance.
Ooh, talk about that.
That's at the core of everything.
Okay.
Whether I'm stumbling upon something and have to, just kind of gain my balance.
Right.
I'm always realizing that is at the helm.
Okay.
It doesn't matter who you are, what you have,
right,
what your experiences are, where you are, who's around you, anything, what you're going through, you have, you don't have. You have to accept who you are, where you are,
right,
when you are,
yes,
why it is, and you can go anywhere from that.
Absolutely.
To me, that is just the essence.
The essence, just having
everything. Yes.
Okay.
Accept even if you don't like it, even if you hate it.
Can we talk on that?
Yes, absolutely.
So even if you're not happy or you're not necessarily, you hate the here, the now, the whoever you are, you believe the ability to still accept it
absolutely
is at the helm of it and allowing your ability to then grow from there. Unpack that for me, because that I feel like is a word.
1000%. Your feelings are one thing.
Right.
You can feel hate or disappointment about who you are.
Right.
As a culmination of everything, right? Everything that you're experiencing.
Right.
But you are you experiencing that right now, where you are, where whomever is near or wherever the case.
Exactly.
All of the details.
Right.
You are still there and you are still who you are in that moment. If you don't acknowledge that, where are you going? There was either a commercial or podcast or something, and I'm sure that you may have heard it, and they were like, okay, when you plug an address in the GPS, you have to let them know where you are.
Fair.
Whether it's already in your settings to read your location or you have to type it in.
Right.
It starts you from where you are.
And then from there, it takes you to where?
Go anywhere. That has saved me from despair in very hard times. And it will always be something, or just the essence of anything that I do.
Okay.
I don't see life without that concept, without just radically accepting where you are.
Okay.
you can make changes from there.
Okay.
Growth only happens from the seed.
Okay.
When are you growing? You can't skip the step of the seed.
Of the seed. Fair.
So
yeah. I love that.
That's been probably just my biggest driving force and what grounds me more than anything, no matter where I am, who I'm with, what I'm doing, when.
It's just a matter of just having this radical self-acceptance. And so going through this journey with you, so having this, a culmination of just strong women surrounding you, individuals that are doing things as a first, being a pioneer yourself and being the first to go to college and being a first to experience different things. Where did it lead? Because you have two, we're going to talk about three because we have a new project coming up, but two very, in essence, it feels like different paths. But as we've gotten to know each other, I feel like they also like celebrate one another. Like you as a teacher, and you already shared the ability to like allow each student to be who they are and allow individuals to still show up for who they are. And then you and Cocoa Tulip, right? So how did you kind of get into, we can go with the one and then the other, like how did you get into teaching? And then also share the how Cocoa Tulip became a thing.
Okay.
And the driving forces behind it. And then I want to discuss the parallels. But let's start with each one. So what got you into teaching to begin with, and then we're going to unpack Cocoa Tulip.
So teaching, let my mom tell it, I always had like a teacher spirit. I didn't think so. I actually used to cringe because it just sounded like I was being bossy, but I wasn't the bossy girl, but I just would take it and run with it. But when I was first of all, I went through a couple of different careers when I was younger growing up. I wanted to be a nuclear physicist. I wanted to be a dentist. I wanted to be a journalist.
Similar stories. Yeah, all the things.
High school, I had a great, fun, over the top, but super strict English teacher, Mr. Baker.
I love Mr. Baker. So did I.
Yes.
Quick. Every time I'd walk in the room, he'd go, "I want to live in America," because of West Side Story and me being Puerto Rican. So, but he is hilarious. Love him. So Mr. Baker.
Yes.
Shout out to Mr. Baker.
Yeah. Shout out to Mr. Baker. I always loved to write.
Okay.
That's a thing. And he always challenged my writing. Whenever I thought it was good, he pushed it back and was like, "You could have done this, this, and that."
Okay.
So, challenging me to critique myself, critique my own writing, to critique literature, which I love.
Right.
To love to read. That just kind of opened my mind.
Okay.
I wanted to share that experience.
Oh, I love that.
My cousins, of course they handled their business in the classroom, but I was usually playing sports. So by the time I got home, nobody wants to talk about reading books. And
they're like, "I worked on
that." Right. But I knew that I could get my fix every day in class with Mr. Baker.
Oh, I love that.
And then, a few teachers that I had at the high school also just kind of encouraged me and spoke that word. And it's like, "You will be a great teacher." And I was like, "I've been thinking about that." So went to Lincoln.
Okay.
Yeah. So that in essence got me into teaching.
So you having, because we're going to continue to talk about the importance of like the people showing up in your life and having the individuals. So having the confirmation from other teachers and people that, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like people that you were looking up to, people that were, and teachers are heroes. So these are like heroes in your eyes that are doing great things. The confirmation that they saw that in you. Is that what like led
it? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I kind of had this energy and this, just kind of aspiration in my head. Like I could do that.
Right.
Like I see it every day.
Absolutely.
And, great teachers, especially teachers who look like me, whether they were standing in front of my classroom or my friend's classroom and I would hear stories about. So, we did have a diverse staff, especially at Harrisburg
High. Yeah.
And just to see that day in and day out, and then to see that spoken on me and it already being something within me,
right,
definitely was a driving force that made me say, okay.
It gave you the permission to go for it, because it's one thing to feel like I have something and I feel it and I accept this for me, but it sounds like now you can see it and now it's being spoken to you and now you have permission to walk into that.
Absolutely.
I love that. So those relationships led your ability to become a teacher. Now, radically different, and yet is it?
Is it?
Cocoa Tulip. So talk about that.
Oh, man. So, as far back as I can remember,
Okay.
my mom let me wear what I wanted to wear.
I'm hearing you were just, yes, you were loud.
She did. She just let it, and not even that. She just let me wear what I wanted to wear.
Yeah.
She wasn't going to be going in our drawers picking out every single outfit. She had 3 children. She was a single mother.
Right. You figure it out.
Well, and if I need to tweak or change something, I would. One of my earliest memories, and I don't know why this sticks out in my head more than anything. I don't even remember how old I was, maybe 6, 7.
Mm-hmm.
We were at a store called Hills.
I remember him.
Oh my God, it was the best place ever.
Yes. Popcorn and the little, yes.
And we went in, and it was summertime, and my mom told us to pick out a few sets.
Okay.
And so I go into the section, I'm looking through the sets, and I'm like, okay, I'll grab a few. And I realized that if I got sets that matched each other,
you had more
sets.
Talk about it. Right.
And as silly or simple as it may seem, that was awesome to me.
Right.
Because instead of 3 sets, and that's what we walked out with, I had 9 because each of the pieces
can match one another. Right.
So it was a joy to me to be able to pick out a tank top and some matching biker shorts.
Right.
Right. And put on whichever pair of my jellies matched.
Absolutely.
Jellies were
that was a thing back then.
Yes.
Y'all don't age yourself now. But
I know.
I'm kidding.
So it was just that freedom and that autonomy to be able to do it.
Okay.
I was trusted to do it. Mm-hmm. Never criticized for, oh, that doesn't match, or, you didn't iron, which we did. That was just a custom. So it never had to be told to us to make sure our clothes were decent.
Right.
But I just found a joy and a passion in that. I would help dress my little sister, help my brother grab, put some things together.
Yeah.
And as I got older, it just evolved. And I always felt myself in whatever I wore.
Okay.
So it was just a feeling. I was the girl on the block. I was a tomboy girl.
Okay.
Believe it or not, guys.
I don't see that at all.
I was the girl on the block with a tank top, the little skirt with biker shorts underneath, playing football across the street with the guys. That was me.
Okay.
Shooting the jump shots.
You was like, I'm out here
in my sandals.
And like, why not? Yeah.
That was me. So just that dichotomy of not, having to live up to someone's expectations or whatever I was wearing.
Right.
Just kind of gave me a joy and a freedom in it.
Okay. And that leads you to Cocoa Tulip?
That led me to Cocoa Tulip.
Okay.
I always felt different and unique. Like I said, I had on the skirt with the biker shorts.
But you made it
playing football across the street, right?
Yeah.
But I always felt like I did enjoy or have a sense of pride in what I was wearing.
Mm-hmm.
But I was always focused on what I was doing and who I was and the moment was. So as I got older, the Cocoa Tulip, I always loved tulips. They were my favorite flower.
Love that.
It was something about how straight and strong they stood.
Oh.
Without too much bending or flexing.
Okay.
I always just saw a sense of strength in them.
Okay.
The older I got, just doing research and, just finding out, just more about them historically.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I'm brown skinned, so the cocoa
head
in there. Yeah, that had been my Instagram handle forever.
Really?
And then so when I decide that I want to get into, retail.
Yeah.
And then eventually and still moving toward designing.
Yeah.
I'm like, what should I call this thing?
Right.
And I'm beating myself up because nothing is coming.
Okay.
I'm a note taker, so I'm sketching out notes, different words,
right,
trying to be witty, and nothing fit.
Okay.
And my sister was like, Cocoa Tulip.
Right. Okay, so the one that gave you your name is your sister. Mine was my mom. Yours is
Cocoa Tulip.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, but you don't think that's too on the nose? It's already out there.
Right.
It's like, no. Then I had a cousin said the same thing. My guy, he said the same thing. And so I'm like, okay, it just makes sense. This is something I need to settle in. And so it just became the Cocoa Tulip. I'm loving to to share my joy of putting something on that makes you feel comfortable.
Oh, I love that.
It coming from the inside, right? And you're not trying to mask or shield or become something you're not.
Right.
And also embracing all of the different yous within you.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to share that. And so I'm like, I have to start somewhere.
Right.
Let's start here. And everybody here is the Cocoa Tulip.
Oh, I love that. And so now we're going to get into the future, but moving on to, these are your two big passions. We've got now Cocoa Tulip, and we also have your teaching, right? From what I'm hearing, when it comes to Cocoa Tulip, it's this beauty of just acceptance and accepting who you are and just finding the beauty of you regardless of everything, right? Is that that's a pretty good understanding?
Exactly.
Okay. And then you're now pouring into the next generation and when you're teaching, right? How do you find the parallels between the two and where do you see the intersections, I guess I should say?
I'd say the biggest intersection is, so my slogan for the Cocoa Tulip is beyond the visual.
Beyond the visual. Unpack that for me.
And it seems a little ironic because we're talking about fashion, we're talking about style. And it's all about, what you're doing with,
right?
Keeping up to date with the latest trends. But I always felt like more beyond the compliments.
Okay.
And again, raised that way. Like I said, my aunts were goddesses to me, and they were always fresh. I mean, we can flip through pictures and
see them all.
Yeah. But me knowing them, knowing their hearts, knowing them just personally,
right,
and who they were with each other, I felt like that superseded everything. And I saw that when I saw them, whether they were dressed up or dressed down.
Right.
And I felt that within myself, whether I had on jeans and a tee or dressed with some heels. So I'm like, I want people to feel that, like to be who they are, So your sense of style emits from
within.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
I love this.
Let's focus on what's beyond the visual first.
Right.
And then let's cause that flowering.
Hence the tulip, which is just, again, it sounds very serendipitous, but you always had exactly what it was. This Cocoa Tulip is beyond the visual. It's looking from within. It's radically accepting yourself and then emitting what comes out. And so I would be remiss if I didn't also just talk about, not only are you amazing a teacher and your style is phenomenal, when it comes to, and that's why I love the conversation we're having, because it's all interwoven. It's this beautiful flow of, from the time that you've been younger, you have had the ability to watch others and see beauty from within. You've also then had influences that poured into you that allowed you permission to dream bigger and to be a pioneer and to go ahead and become a teacher yourself. So you've got teachers that poured into you that allow you to become a teacher. You've got women that you look up to that allow this Cocoa Tulip, this beyond the visual, where it's really looking from within, right? And now here you are in present day, and you are one of today's heroes. You are a teacher. And there's a story, and I'm going to share a quick tidbit, which is what is like breath this entire conversation from the beginning, and it's just coming together. There's a young lady that comes into your classroom, and you shared it on social media, and I know we all have these moments in real time and in real life, and she just wasn't feeling like herself, and she felt, and I'm going to let you unpack the story, but from what I got, because you shared it on the social media, which is what led to this conversation, she didn't feel pretty. She didn't feel like she was looking great, we'll say. And you showing up in your authentic self and allowing her to be able to see beyond her own visual, because she sees in you what you've been able to look at from others, right? And see the beauty from within you. You allowed space for this young woman to be able to finish the rest of the day and feel beautiful, I'm sure. Like, I want you to, I'm being very vague, and I'm being vague on purpose because I want you to share the story from self. But it's in these moments that I feel like we, as people, grow. And it's in these moments that the humanist aspect, like we show up and you don't realize the ripple effect that you're having. Like that was a core memory, I'm sure, for that young lady, and it'll go on with her. And it sounds like that's just you at your essence. So talk about that story and how you showed up.
Yeah. So I teach 5th grade, and we're literally split down the middle, boys and girls.
Okay.
All minority students.
Mm-hmm.
And having taught, of course, in the city for so long, you know, you kind of pick up on different patterns of the kids.
Right.
What they're doing when they're feeling good, when they're not feeling good.
Right.
You know, maybe there are issues at home, or they're feeling their best, or they're not.
Okay.
And this one morning, I'm sitting at my desk, and I'm looking at the door, and I see a student who usually, when she comes in, I'm greeting her, I'm shouting her out, as I do all the students as they pour in.
Right.
I like to give them like that individual attention. I don't care if I'm typing away. If I see one of them, I'm saying, hey, good morning, such and such.
Right.
Just to make them feel seen.
Absolutely. Yes.
So I see her, she comes in, and most of the class has filled in already.
Mm-hmm.
But she stops and she leans on the wall by the door. Mm-hmm. So I look up at the corner of my eye. She has her hood on, and I'm like, standing there.
Right.
Okay. So I continue for maybe another minute, and I look back up, and she, you know, she's kind of slowly making her way, but not really.
Right.
So I just called to her and told her to come to my desk.
Right.
And so she walks over, and she has tears in her eyes. She looks like she wants to cry. She's very like tense and hard. So I'm checking out her body. Like,
right.
I'm like, she's got this hood for some reason, because
right.
she's not like this.
Yeah.
And so I'm asking her, what's wrong?
Right.
She's like, nothing. I'm like, what's wrong?
Right.
You know, like, something's going on with you. What's going on?
Right.
You know, why do you have your hood on?
Yeah.
And, you know, she reveals that she didn't like her hair.
Okay.
She's like, I don't like my hair. And I was like, girl, what's wrong with your hair? What's wrong with your hair?
Right.
And she's like, no, I don't like it. I have, you know, this hairstyle was just like 2 braids, which is classic, you know.
Yeah.
And everybody wears 2 braids. Right. I'm like, 2 braids, girl, it's a classic.
Yeah.
Girl, hairstyle. You know, stop playing. Take that braid. You know, take it off. She was like, no, I don't. I don't like it. And I'm like telling her, like, I wear 2 braids sometimes.
Right.
My girls wear 2 braids. As a matter of fact, my youngest has 2 braids. And as we speak,
right.
And she's like, no. She's like, and I left my earrings at home. Like, I look like a boy. And I paused for a second. Because for her to say that at 10, it was heavy.
Right.
It was very heavy. And
yeah,
like,
no, that's exactly it.
How are we that self-conscious at
Such
about
age.
2 braids and not wearing earrings?
Right.
So I immediately go into mom mode,
right,
big sister mode, and I'm like, are you kidding me?
Right.
You know, and I'm like, telling her, you know, you don't look like a boy. You know, you have a beautiful face. Like, you're
right.
beautiful.
Exactly.
I couldn't even help myself. Like,
no,
I'm like,
these
no,
are
you're
needed.
not talking about yourself like this. And I'm like, no, you're beautiful.
Right.
Look at you. Look at your face with or without earrings.
Exactly.
You know, or, you know, this hairstyle. I'm like, no. And I just immediately, I'm like, I have to go there with her. And I'm like, taking my earrings out. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take my earrings out.
Right.
Okay. I guess we're going to be boys together then. We're going to look like boys together then today. And she's like, no, Miss Bellamy, you never look like a boy. And I'm like, and neither do you.
There it is.
So
there it is.
What are we doing?
Right.
You know, she kind of smirked and everything. And I told her, I was like, and, you know, because I wear my mini fro.
Exactly. No, that's exactly it.
Joy, but I'm like, and I had just washed and deep conditioned my hair. So the shrinkage was real.
It was real.
Right. Real. And I'm like, and I just deep conditioned my hair.
Right.
And my, you know, my fro is a mini fro.
Right.
Yeah, no. Okay. Well, we're both going to be boys today. You're telling me I look like
right.
Okay. Neither do you. So she's like, you don't have to do that. And I was like, no, Mom, I'm not wearing my earrings all day. We're going to do this together. And I told her, I said, she finally took her hood off, which I was so proud of her. And I, you know, bigged her up, complimented her, and let her know her hair is beautiful. You know, don't, you know, talk bad about yourself. And I told her, you go sit down.
Right.
And I don't want to hear you talk about your hair.
Right.
Don't go over making no excuses about it. Talking about, excuse my hair, y'all, today. Because no. You walk over there. You are, I said her name. You come in here every single day like you know you are. You don't talk about yourself. You don't give anybody else a reason to talk about yourself. I don't care if you had the worst hairstyle, worst outfit, worst anything. You come in here every day as you.
Exactly.
I don't hear nothing else about it.
You better go.
And, she got her life together.
She got her life together. I can't with you, but yes.
And, went back to her seat. And it was just a moment that we shared that I would hope sticks with her.
No, that's a core memory. I promise you. I don't know this little girl.
I hope so.
But that's a core memory. That's what we're talking about right now. Like, it's in this moment right here that you allowed radical self-acceptance for her. Like, you literally pour that into her. It's phenomenal. Yeah. The way that you've been able to do that for her. I'm sure it'll stay with her forever. And she, I pray, will know that she is that girl.
Yeah.
And now, so in that same regard, and we're going to keep going, but I want to give you the ability to talk about your passions then, because this is deep rooted.
Yeah.
Cocoa Tulip is the idea of beyond the visual. You pouring into this younger generation, it's beyond. It's allowing individuals to be seen. So where do you see yourself going with that? Talk about why it's so deep rooted and where you're going with it.
It's so deep rooted because, again, it's going back to that core principle that you have to radically accept yourself,
right,
in any circumstance, because you are living in real time, right? So your circumstances, the things that you like, don't like, whomever you're with,
right,
whatever is happening, you have to accept it,
right.
And I think for me is that the sooner we get there, the sooner we can get everywhere else.
Absolutely. Once you start to accept yourself.
Yes. And the more beautiful that journey to everywhere else is. How often do we forget to live in the moment just because it's hard or difficult?
Right.
Right?
Right.
Or we're complaining that we are where we are when we're still working and, we're still hustling to get to the next level or to achieve whatever goal. But at the same time, how consistent are you and how true are you to enjoying the journey and learning who you are along the journey? I think, and I have not had a perfect journey, but one of the things that I realized about myself is that I'm able to see myself and appreciate myself wherever I am, with whomever I'm with,
right,
or whatever time. And I feel like that's where the learning happens, and that's where the growth happens.
Absolutely.
Just sit still and see yourself,
right.
And then it also allows me to see other people, like who am I journeying alongside or with?
Exactly.
Coworkers, family, friends, relationships, whatever the case may be. Yeah. So it's wanting to grow all together and then help people along that journey. So better than, the youth.
Absolutely.
They're so receptive and they want it even when they reject it.
Right.
And to see it on them.
Right.
For me, it's one of the most rewarding and most beautiful things. I know I go in every day and I know we have to teach them ABC, 1, 2, 3.
Absolutely.
But I pride myself on establishing a classroom culture of growth.
Amen.
I don't care about the wrong answer. Give me the wrong answer. We're going to find out how we have that the wrong answer.
Right.
What we need to do to find the right answer.
That's it.
I will be late on curriculum in the beginning of the year until that is established. And it's gone a long way, but it's proven itself.
Amen. So you're giving the children the ability the answer it matters, but it doesn't matter.
Right.
If you're wrong, that's fine. How did we get here? Let's talk about the journey. Oh my God, I love that.
Every day.
Yes.
Every single day. It's probably one of the proudest things that I'm accomplishing.
Absolutely.
In life.
Right.
And being able to experience that myself. And while I'm still experiencing it,
Right, because life doesn't stop.
Teach them,
Yeah.
like how to understand that process. And we
Right.
can do it in a 5th grade classroom or 4th grade, kindergarten, 10th grade classroom, then you guys will be able to do this in life, and the world will be better for it.
And you're creating the acceptance and the confidence to show up, and being that you are a reflection of the classroom itself, it resonates. It allows the ability for them to see themselves in you and to also say, like, I can be like Miss Bellamy.
Yes, because I'm wrong in a classroom.
Talk about
make a mistake.
Yeah.
Y'all. Did y'all see that? Okay, how did I? And I'm literally going through the process with them, whether I want to or not. Like, I will slow down to take the moment.
Yeah.
I share like some of my personal experiences with them.
Okay.
Just so that they know, like, there's a real person in front of them every day. It's funny because so many of my students, I know their parents, or they know a cousin,
right?
Or I showed up on Latina the first day of school. I'm talking about my children, and one girl asked me if she went to such and such summer camp.
Okay.
And I'm like, yeah. And she was like, that's my best friend.
No.
I was like, really? And she's like, yeah. And she says, my daughter's name. She's like, Bato. And I'm like, oh, I do remember seeing you. And it's just like that immediate connection. So here, she's seen me every day picking up my daughter. So when I come in and I'm talking about my daughter, like, there are certain things.
There's a certain connection then.
Yeah. So I do need to, I'm always making sure that I'm relating to them and letting them know, like, I'm a real human being.
Right.
So what you see in me that you may look up to or admire, understand that it took growth. Like, this is my process. So,
and you're allowing the vulnerability to be present in the classroom so that they're able to grow then.
Yes.
And then you're doing that exact same thing. So you wear 2 hats, but you're showing up, just continuing authentically who you are. And at the core, it's just making sure that individuals walk away accepting exactly who they are and enjoying the journey.
Enjoy it. Look yourself in the mirror and see your worst if you may.
Right.
Be glad that you're able to see that.
Right.
How many people look in the mirror and they are the worst and they don't see it? Where are we going?
Right.
What happened from there? So be grateful.
Be grateful.
Don't go anywhere from that.
Okay, so Toya, we gotta ask now. What you got in the works? What is it that you're working on? Let's talk about it.
In the works, I have currently a curriculum building self-confidence in young girls. It's called Girls Growing.
Girls Growing.
And we are in the very near future rolling that out in the school where I'm teaching.
I love that.
3rd through 5th grade students.
Okay.
Girls. That is, of course, coming from just that organic space of where I come from and, what my aspirations are and my goals.
Right.
Also tied into that is the philosophy behind the Raffia mural.
Yes, which I haven't even talked about the mural, but let you go ahead and just discuss the mural, because if you're in the central Pennsylvania area and you tend to just mosey on into Harrisburg, go to 3rd and Forster Street, you will find this beautiful woman featured on a mural on 3rd and Forster, which... that's legacy. That's stamped for life. So I wasn't even, but let's go there too. So talk about the mural and then also discuss what that means for you and how that ties into what you're doing.
So the mural, Brian Hickman, became prolific, an amazing artist in the Harrisburg area.
Yep,
yeah. So I had known him for a while, and he reaches out to me via Facebook Messenger, and he's like, "Hey, Sprocket Works, pull my coattails, and I'm a part of this project. It's about diversity, in the Harrisburg area, and I have an idea for where I want to throw on out of this building." And he tells me the idea, and he asks me if I would do him the honor of being the muse.
I love it.
I have to be honest that I immediately shrunk.
No.
I did. I was like, no. In my head, I'm like, that's too much. That's too big. I don't want to be on a side of a building.
Right.
What would that look like?
Right. What would that mean? How does that look?
Yeah.
Right.
It was a scary thought.
Right.
And
you were
then-
going through imposter syndrome right there.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Without a doubt.
Right.
But then immediately sat with that
Mm-hmm.
and was like, who the hell are you?
Right. No, you're fine.
Like,
You're
who
gonna
are
be
you to deny his art and his expression?
right.
And so I got over myself.
Okay, real quick. Quick and in a hurry, I hope.
Real
quick
quick.
and in a hurry.
Real
'Cause
quick.
That's an
Yeah.
honor.
And just let him know, like, absolutely.
Right.
And again, like, just the significance behind it, honoring, the Black woman
Right.
from our past
Yes.
to the present and into the future. And the earring is one of my daughters.
Yes.
She's there too. And I could not deny that expression, especially if
Absolutely.
him as the amazing artist that I had already admired
Same. Yes.
reached out to me and saw my light.
Absolutely. Exuding
know,
from you and coming out of it. Yes.
So even that, right? Like
Yeah.
taking what's before
Right.
as part of our culture and our roots,
Absolutely.
embodying it within myself, and then, pushing it into the next generation. I'm like, this is honestly, and the more it flowered,
Yes.
it felt like it was the essence of who I was.
There it
And
is.
so as much as I say that this mural, it's not just me.
Right.
The muse that is many of us, so many of us. But for me, it does feel like legacy because
It is.
the family that I come from,
Right.
history, even in this area, I have, family members from generations ago who were contractors in this area. They built bridges and, homes in this area.
Yes.
And so much more. So when I look at it, I see all of us.
Yeah.
And I see other women, of course, and young girls. I hope that everybody can look at that and identify
Absolutely.
and play a role in society where they are with whomever
Right.
at any time.
Exactly.
So part of that core,
Absolutely.
light
Yeah.
essence is a part of the curriculum.
So you're bringing that
pushing into
into it.
yes,
Oh, I love
absolutely.
how it comes
It's all
around.
connected.
It's so connected.
It's so aligned.
right.
Even the conversations that Brian and I had about it, but so that is forthcoming.
I love this for you.
Yes. Also to the Cocoa Tulip site.
Yes.
We'll be doing some blogging
Yeah.
and blogging. It is
that.
time. I do so many voice recordings
Right.
and videos and keep them to myself because I'm so busy. But
No.
at this point, I feel like the silence has been exhausted.
Amen.
And
It's time to get loud
Absolutely.
and share.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is, and I'm gonna hold you to it,
Please do.
Cocoa Tulip is going to allow for some blogging, some sharing. So it's literally beyond the visual. Not only are you able to be styled by this amazing woman, not only is there opportunities for pieces and things in the future, you're also going to be a part of the journey, and you're going to continue to pour into them. And then for the women, the young women, should I say, and the young girls, there's also an essence of the growing and allowing those girls that are growing to be given curriculum within the schools as well. Oh my gosh, Toya. That is amazing. And all of it ties back to your essence and your core, the ability to allow women and the younger generation to accept who they are, be radically self-accepted, grow into themselves, and that you also have the ability to have legacy to allow people to just generations to come to continue to see themselves in the art that you guys have created. Girl. All right. So we're going to go ahead, and one of the questions that I always ask is, what advice would you give someone currently struggling with identity? And the last question is, what advice would you give your younger self?
I would advise anyone who is struggling with finding their own identity or just accepting their own identity is to just ask yourself the hard questions. Just ask yourself who you are really.
Right.
What you like, what you think,
Right.
why you think that, and just sit with it.
Okay.
Because and the core of who you are those things. and just accept it. That's where you are.
Right.
And then say, well, who do I want to be? Do I want to be more of that?
Right.
Or do I want to be less of that?
Okay.
And follow whatever it takes to get there.
Right.
And be patient with yourself. You literally have to love yourself.
That's everything.
Whatever, whenever, however it looks, because if you don't, others will try.
Right.
And even if they do it well, it's going to be hard for you to accept it. So
that's it right there. Because even if others do try to love, if you don't love yourself, it's hard.
Absolutely. So ask yourself those questions. Who are you?
Yeah.
What are you right now?
Yeah.
And what do you want to be? What does that look like? And be honest.
Right.
Don't hear your mother's voice, your father's voice, your cousin's voice, an old ex's voice don't hear anybody else's voice but yours. And ask God to align your steps if it be good for you. Mm-hmm. And if it don't be good for you, direct them in the direction toward the destiny of who you were supposed to be.
Amen.
So, if you're struggling with identity, I just say that just be honest.
Yeah.
And follow steps.
And follow the steps necessary to stay in it.
Yeah.
Any advice you'd give younger Toya?
Oh, younger Toya. That's a tough one. I would say to younger Toya, first of all, good job.
Mm-hmm.
Good job just being you.
There it is.
Good job just being you.
I love that.
You. Just be you. That's it.
That's it.
That's all I got.
That's all you need.
Yeah, I think that would have just, given me the confidence to keep going, keep pushing. And even though I feel like it's a full circle moment.
Absolutely.
Right? I'm able to live in that energy. I would have at least planted that seed then.
Right.
Yeah, and just said it out loud. The feeling was there.
Exactly.
But just to stop and look my little self in the eyes and say, good job.
Good job and keep going. Well, I always do key takeaways. So we're going to give our key takeaways from today's episode. The first one has been mentioned multiple times, and it is the idea of radical self-acceptance. Sit with yourself, embrace yourself, and accept exactly who that is. The second takeaway that I'm getting from today's conversation is also to pour into others and show up for them when they're having difficulty accepting themselves, just like you did for that student. When you recognize it, when you see it, when you can pinpoint and you know that someone is not at where they need to be or they're struggling with something, pour into that individual. Show up for them. Meet them where they are so that they have an ability to be able to see what you see in them. I thought that was amazing. And the third takeaway that I'm getting is to plant a seed. If you know you want to go somewhere, it starts with a seed. It starts with an idea. Allow yourself to plant a seed, water it, come back to it, continue to allow something to grow and build what's necessary for it. And then my last takeaway, and it has to do with what you're doing in the future, is to go beyond the visual, to allow people to go past just the visual and to grow into strong, confident, greater versions of themselves. And let's do it as a community, because what you're doing for young girls and what's coming with the curricula and the ability to also start pouring into people, because I know it's going to be amazing with Cocoa Tulip, and the fact that the essence of Cocoa Tulip is beyond the visual. Let us just build a community of acceptance, of growth. And I mean, sky's the limit. That's it right there.
Prayer.
I thank you so much. I thank you for your heart. I thank you for all that you're doing for young children in the classroom, as well as the things that you're going to continue to do to pour into others as you continue to build out Cocoa Tulip and everything else. So I'll put all the handles on the bottom. If you're local and you have Miss Bellamy as a teacher, you are blessed to have this amazing woman in your presence. So as always, sending light, sending love. Bye.